We are so back, baby. Bitcoin doing really well. Obviously, yesterday, extremely bullish. We're going to take a look at the charts. We're going to take a look at some news that is important to your crypto portfolio. We're going to conclude just how back we indeed have become. We're going to discuss this together. We're going to take a look. I've got the chat here with me. They're going to help me digest some of this information. I see Ada Ace saying, hit the like button on the way in. I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Ada, for reminding the good bros of what it is best to do. We are so back, ladies and gentlemen. Where are we back to? 70,000. In short, this is a weekly chart here I've got pulled up for you. We're not only back into 70,000, but we're also back not even closing a weekly candle below the platinum pocket. This is very bullish indeed. The 0.78 has not been closed through out on the weekly chart. In fact, we're now more than halfway back towards the upper band of that platinum pocket. Of course, these are Fibonacci levels, and these are going to be indicating, important levels of resistance and support in which Bitcoin price action is going to behave within a certain amount of predictability. So going down to the daily chart, we can see that indeed inside of the platinum pocket, we are getting a candle close. Now, out on the daily chart, we got plenty of candle body closes under the platinum pocket, right? Which was, that was what was causing so much question. Are we back? The market wasn't so sure. Market was not so sure. Of course, we also ignored a historic high here from the bear market. From the previous bull market, 2021. We ignored this level here. And pretty much, these candles respected it to some extent, the 64.7 level. This candlestick seemed to have respected a bit, but these rammed right through it, and we also got a low, much lower, kind of putting in what would be this ascending triangle / pennant that we have now broken out of. That's the daily chart, right? What you'll notice is that the Bollinger Bands are pretty level here. Maybe starting to see a slight expansion, signaling further volatility. But I think what we're getting is we're starting to go ahead and build a nice just range here on the daily, right? Probably going to see a nice little range on the daily. Of course, if, an early signal that we're not going to just range would be if we get up above the platinum pocket here at 74,000, right? If we get up to the platinum pocket, put in a new 2024 and all-time high, right? That is going to obviously signal more bullishness, and we'll come back and move higher. Look at how weird those squiggles are. Trading View, come on, wake up. I need you. Let's take a look here at the MACD. Bitcoin, of course, looking very bullish here on the daily, right? Some might even venture to say that we are back, right? Now I see some folks here in the chat. Let's see. Who is thinking that we are back? I've got Joe Nickel saying, GM Bros, feels good to be so back. Indeed. Thank you for the stream. T-Shroom said, D. Lee Crypto. I love it. Zachary Martin coming in, drop in the morning. And Tyler Berry said, ADA breakout confirmed. 80% upside in play. You know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at Cardano. Let's see. Let me get it pulled up here. Cardano's not really something that I pay attention too much in my own personal trading. I just have a decent amount of it and just hodl it, right? I know it's a late stage flyer, so I'm not super honed in on it quite yet. But taking a look here at the daily chart, you can see that it's flowing along, and it's putting in, right, a higher low than back here we saw in January, right? So that's, to me, that's kind of all you need to know. Also, just kidding. Obviously, if you're just swing trading this or hodling it, that might be all you need to know. If you're trading it, that's far from all you need to know to just FOMO in, just triple the mortgage, go on into Cardano, right? Just because of one higher low. But we are getting also a higher high here, which is nice to see from December. From that December high, you're getting a higher high here. Now, the midline of the Bollinger Band is kind of coming into question here on the daily chart. It'll be nice to see a candle body close above that. Right? That'll be good to see. Haven't seen that since March 16th. So we've had it in this month. This is a bullish month for March overall. We're starting. No, it's not. Actually, we are red on the month. Let's go out to the month and see. just to confirm. It's so nice to have these candlesticks. So we're kind of even on the month here for Cardano. We're a good bit outside of the upper band of the Bollinger Band, so we're seeing what we need to see and expected in this crypto bull market from Cardano. But back on the daily, it's not right now it's not all that bullish the month we're currently in March, right? We're basically breaking even. That's why you see a big wick higher and a big wick lower. That's because we've seen price exploration higher and lower on the lower time frames. We haven't seen a close out on the monthly. On the weekly, right? You're doing real well, right? You're staying up above the midline of the Bollinger Band, putting in higher lows and higher highs. Out here on the MACD, you've got your MACD lines kind of playing a little bit of a expansion consolidation game. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that probably spells a little bit of a pullback in some senses because you also are getting a lower high here on the MACD histograms, right? But I think we've spent a decent amount of time here on Cardano. I think for hodlers, I'm seeing everything I need to see to keep right on hodling from a technical analysis standpoint. Overall on the 4 hour, you probably have some upside. Going to come back here and test these highs. I mean, what is that? 18%, right? So on a leverage trade using our partner Blofin, right, you're going to probably do pretty well. If you don't have access to leverage trading, what even is that? It means when Cardano goes up 1 cent, you go up whatever you're leveraging, right? If you're leveraging 2x, it's going to go up 2 cents, right? So ultimately, you're going to make more money. You also stand to lose more money. But if you're smart, right, you'll make a lot of money. And that's leverage trading in the long and short of it. You do have to be careful. If you've never done it before, be very slow to start to go in and do it. There's paper trading leverage you can go practice with. Just Google it and make an account and set it up. But ultimately, we have a link in our description. You're definitely going to make a lot more money if you leverage trade. You also, if you're not smart with it, then you're going to stand to lose a good amount of money too if you don't know what you're doing. The name of the game in leverage trading is managing risk. Manage the risk, and you should do pretty well. But if you ignore risk and you just think you're going to become a millionaire in one trade because you think you understand how patterns work and levels work, that is a recipe for failure. Okay, it's all about managing risk. All about managing risk. All right, let's go ahead and check out Ethereum really quickly before we jump on into the news. Ethereum looks to be doing pretty similarly to a lot of what we've been covering here. Looks pretty bullish. I mean, I'd really like to see Cardano, kind of in here jousting with its all-time highs. Or I'm sorry, it's 2024 highs. It's 11% off of those highs. There we go. Let's go to the Bitcoin and the Japanese dollar. That's what I wanted to do. Well, might as well. Bitcoin to the Japanese dollar, almost ready to make another 2024 high. Probably this is an all-time high for sure. With Ethereum, you're not seeing it, right? You're not seeing it push up and maintain those same levels. Why is that? Well, I think it has a lot to do with the spot Ethereum ETF not likely to go ahead and get passed by the SEC. So that's bearish. That's bearish. And we're asking the question, are we back? I think for Bitcoin, it's a little bit more certainty that we are back, right? For Ethereum, I think that question is still lingering. Are we back? For Ethereum, I think that it's got a little bit more proving grounds to go. For a Cardano, are we back? No, but that's a good thing, right? Because it's still very discounted. I would, and if I had $1 today and you said that you forced me to invest it somewhere, I'd probably buy Cardano versus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why? Because it just has so much more gains to be made. Do I think Cardano is superior to Bitcoin and Ethereum? Right? That's a whole nother question entirely, because the technological question is different from what the market believes at any given time. I think right now, clearly, the belief in Cardano is limited by the market, right? Belief in Bitcoin, potentially unlimited. We'll see, right? But as Bitcoin goes up in price and it becomes more and more expensive, the trade psychology of the market, of the crypto market, starts to ask the question, how can I go further out on the risk curve to experience the same gains as Bitcoin? And that's how this chart manifests, the path to alt season, right? Cardano is going to be very squarely in phase 4, right? In fact, it's even kind of towards the end of phase 4 in a lot of times in the crypto cycle. You may want to take a screenshot of this. But ultimately, Cardano is something that I believe a lot in. I believe in it. It's got a teeming ecosystem. Anybody who says it's a dead chain is clearly not actually down in it and looking around and seeing the development. It's not a dead chain by any means, but it isn't discounted to, versus Ethereum and certainly Bitcoin. But that should be something that perks your ears to think about touching the buy button, tapping the buy button rather than the sell button, right? Because we want to buy low and sell high. Well, somebody who's been doing a lot of buying low and selling high in a lot of different asset classes is my boy, Robert Kiyosaki. Now, some people don't like Robert, but Robert Kiyosaki says he expects Bitcoin to hit $100,000 per coin, and he will be buying 10 more before the halving. Obviously, that's a very exciting headline, and you may conclude from that headline that we are so back. I think I might as well. There's definitely a lot of bullishness going around, and for those of you who don't know, I have a special relationship with Robert Kiyosaki. I've never met him, never spoken to him. I'd like to one day, but he's actually probably the reason that I'm sitting here today, because his books, the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, really brought to light for me what passive, right, and semi-passive income really can be. And I didn't know that before, and I was just some high schooler, bippity-bopping, thinking about history, thinking about math, how much I hated math, thinking about how much I loved English, right? And next thing you know, I'm reading Robert Kiyosaki, and I'm realizing, oh wow, I don't have to live my life the way that I see a lot of other people in the middle class living their lives. And that doesn't mean that people in the middle class live their lives in a wrong way, right? The truth that emerged for me was that Robert Kiyosaki showed that you can actually live a certain way in any class that you're in a way that's going to ascend your finances and not keep you stable, or in a worst case scenario, obviously make your finances depreciate. So overall, Robert Kiyosaki, somebody in my eyes who I have a lot of respect for, he kind of came to fame through, obviously he's an author, but I think he initially kind of got his start, as many do in America, in real estate, right? Buying and selling real estate, fixing up homes and things like that. And then with all that wealth and all that influence, he decided to write a book. Well, let's go ahead and see what he's been writing today. Oh, it's another book, except this time it's on Twitter. Look how long this post is. But he said, Robert Kiyosaki, I'm buying 10 more Bitcoin before April. Why? The halving. If you can't afford a whole Bitcoin, you may want to consider buying 1/10 of a coin via the new ETFs or Satoshis. There he is, Robert Kiyosaki. Now, Robert is extremely influential in my life. I've talked about why that is. It's not just me, right? Robert Kiyosaki has touched the lives of so many people. Millions and millions of people have read his book and have been inspired by, his thoughts on finance and investing. And, he's taken very seriously. And so whenever he tweets things out, people pay attention. He's not just somebody who, people ignore or think is a buffoon, right? Sometimes he comes across that way in his tweets because they can be so one-sided sometimes. But ultimately, Robert Kiyosaki is seen as someone who's been right. He's also been wrong a couple of times here and there, but he's seen as someone who's been right, and that is evidenced mostly by his bank account, right, and his continued influence in the financial space. So Robert Kiyosaki, he's written this tome, and for Twitter standards, but it does start with something that's very bullish, saying that he's going to be buying 10 more Bitcoin before April. Now, I believe his Bitcoin count is around 80 Bitcoin already, so adding to that stack is going to be quite exciting for him. Now, Benzinga has pulled out a couple of quotes from this tome. Of course, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but it is important. He said, I'm buying 10 more Bitcoin before April. Why? The halving. I expect Bitcoin to be 100K by September 2024, Robert Kiyosaki wrote. And then just another quotation I felt was significant. He said, smart money knows the U.S. is the biggest debtor nation in the world. China property market is toast, and Japan has been in depression since 1990. This is an interesting statement, considering that the Japanese central bank only last week finally concluded their negative federal funds rate policy, right? And they were the last major central bank to do that. So, that's something that people forget, that Japan has been very reluctant to quantitatively restrict their economy, right? And why? Well, Robert Kiyosaki is saying because they've been in a depression since 1990. Germany is sliding into a depression. Mom and pop customers are living on credit cards. Banks are in trouble, and the world is on the brink of war. Bitcoin, the only answer. No, tone it down. We'll reel it back in here. While the global economy may not be on as bleak of a picture as Kiyosaki paints, Bitcoin could benefit from increasing uncertainty as many see it as a store of value. Of course, anybody you ask any year, any time, in any country, you can find somebody who's going to paint you a picture of war coming on the doorstep of the near future, right? There'll be rockets next week. There are always going to be rumors of those types of things, and that's a byproduct of being human and living in a culture where we have freedom of speech, right? So it's a good thing. But I don't think that things are going to descend quite so rapidly anytime super quickly. Could it? Absolutely. And that's why I have a lot of Bitcoin, right? Because I don't know, right? And Bitcoin is definitely a hedge against a lot of the existing systems that exist, and it's not certain whether or not those systems are going to continue to exist or operate in the way that we've seen them predictably exist. So overall, Robert Kiyosaki, very bullish here on Bitcoin, saying he's going to be buying 10 more before the halving. Bros, how many more Bitcoin are you planning on buying before the halving? I don't know if there's many people out there who have a lot of dry powder left. I mean, this chart this is Ethereum. This chart here for Bitcoin has just whipsawed folks around, and a lot of folks, I think, bought up around here. I think a lot of retail liquidity entered here, right? Because we just didn't know if we were going to ever see, 67 again. Well, of course, we're seeing it yesterday, and now we're up above, closing well above 67, and now seeing, some real movement to the upside. Getting a close here inside the golden pocket, the platinum pocket. So it's very encouraging to see both the charts and Robert Kiyosaki kind of answering the question for us: are we back? It most certainly seems like we are. However, there's a bit of a dull tone here, right? A sour note, if you will, in the melody of this stream. Because it's this, right? This is the overall outflows and inflows. This is the net flows of the ETFs. And as you can see, right, this chart is kind of making a pennant here, which isn't what you want to see on this type of a chart, right? Because it's showing like lower volumes, right? Lower inflows, and I wouldn't say accelerated, but sustained outflows. So the outflows are in purple, that's grayscale. The inflows are in everything else to the upside of this horizontal black line, right? And then that's summarized over here. You can see it well here. This is the net inflows, just overall, not broken down by each entity, each issuer, right? So you can see that recently we've seen mostly outflows, right? And this has happened for going back to quite a ways, back to the 19th, so mid-March in the month that we're currently in. So it's been this way for almost a week, right? So am I panicking? Am I thinking that we're not back because of this? No, but it is something to monitor, because if you take another look here, right, this is the beginning of the Bitcoin spot ETFs back here, January 10th, when they essentially went live on the following day, the 11th, if you'll remember, the SEC's X account getting hacked or whatever, and they posted it early anyway. So you'll see that we haven't had this level of sustained outflows, right? We had 4 histograms in a row that were outflows, and then the weekend, and now we're getting another week of, another beginning to a week of outflows. So we will see. We will see what ends up happening here. We have obviously these opposing forces to the question, are we back, right? The ETFs are certainly saying, no, we're not back, right? Everybody in the ETF world is done buying Bitcoin ETFs. That's what it would be seeming to indicate. Of course, that's not necessarily the conclusion you should be drawing at this point. But then you have the opposing force saying, no, we are back, right? And that would be Robert Kiyosaki, and that would be the spot price of Bitcoin. Seemingly ignoring, seemingly just dismissing this outflow data from the ETFs, right? Of course, the ETF flows have been the biggest driver of the price of Bitcoin, especially in this 2024 dynamic that we are in. And however, the price of Bitcoin up and to the right at a time when the outflows are essentially, not essentially, they are negative, right? They are unfavorable. So what are we to conclude? I think we are back. I really do. And Tim and I, we asked this question, are we going to see a sub 60K Bitcoin ever again? If you take a look at this chart, sub 60 Bitcoin, it really was not touched, right? Since all the way back here in the 5th of March, right? So the 5th of March was the last time that we saw this. And since then, right, we have not gotten back down to 60,000. We barely tapped 60,700, right? That was a wick low. And if you got a limit order down there, I applaud you. Very, very good. But probably you didn't. So now we've been on a move to the upside. And again, highlighting this, why? Because we've looked at the charts already. Highlighting this because the simple fact of the outflows are negative. So spot price movement higher, ETF movement lower. Divergence, a term that comes to mind. So let's keep moving on here. There is some more bullish charts here. I'd love to see this. This is more of a meme. This is from Bitcoin Archive saying, I don't make the rules. Just showing that the parabola of 2024. Yeah. Oh, the last couple days. Right. Nice. So going back to the 23rd of March, this is pretty cool. Oh, sorry. You couldn't see the date. My bad. Yeah. So where does this put us here on the 27th? So by tomorrow, we should be at $75,000 of Bitcoin. That would be quite bullish. Where would that put us in terms of the Fibonacci's here? That would put us above the 0.887. So if we did get this prophecy coming true with this parabola support, we could potentially be in an all-time high level that is actually very, very psychological as well. So folks sitting there valuing Bitcoin for their family offices, for their pension funds, for maybe their gold mining companies, treasuries. Wonder why I use that example. They may be looking at Bitcoin and saying 75,000. How much higher can this thing go? And then they look at Bernstein's prediction, right? They look at Standard Chartered's prediction. They look at Cathie Wood's prediction for 2030, and they say $75,000 doesn't sound so bad, Rick. Maybe we should pull the trigger. My nephew is in my ear every day telling me that I should do this, and you are saying no. And the boardroom becomes heated and heated as the price of Bitcoin gets higher and higher. Now they're upset because they missed the opportunity to buy down here in the low 60s, and so they're thinking to themselves, 75,000, Rick, let's pull the trigger. You're the last vote. We need to make this happen or we're going to get left behind. These are how the important conversations are going in Wall Street, right? For folks who manage the money, full stop. They manage the money, right? And they're not convinced completely, but sometimes fear is stronger than rationality. And we will see, is the fear of missing out on Bitcoin stronger than whatever perceived rationality not to buy Bitcoin? Well, so far, that's obviously not been true. So far, folks have obviously found a lot of value in Bitcoin. They're not buying solely on fear, but you have to imagine that in this move higher, there was certainly a lot of fear-driven impulsivity. Right now, folks who made those decisions back here at 27,000 and the 30,000, which it happens to be my average entry, which is nice, somewhere in there. They were rewarded quite nicely with this huge move higher to 165% move, basically from 27.8, right? So that's really nice to see. I think folks who bought back here are saying we are so back. I think that would be the conclusion that they'd be coming to. However, folks in boardrooms, a lot more, comfortable with the concept of a nice 60-40 split in our client's portfolio. It's harder. It's harder for them to see, especially as Warren Buffett is such a prominent figure in that space of fiduciary wealth management, and he has not been all that hot on Bitcoin, certainly not as much as this man here, Robert Kiyosaki. It's understandable, right, that these boardrooms are still simmering. They're not sure. Another simmering story here is the SEC is seeking $1.95 billion in fines in the final judgment against Ripple. Redacted versions of the court documents would be made public by March 26th. What is today's date? March 26th. XRP bags. This is going to be potentially a big day. We'll see. My guess is that some of that redacted documents will start to indicate which way that court hearing goes. We'll see, though. I'm definitely not saying that we're going to find the final judgment today, but the SEC is going ahead and requesting that today. So that could be imminent within the next week or two or longer, right? But we should see that as the major financial regulatory body of the United States is pushing the judicial system to, come on, make the decision. we need to move on to other things. Japanese automaker Nissan has moved on to some things. They're tapping into the metaverse. So this is one of the first major collaborations that I've seen. This was a big hallmark of the last bull run, was a lot of major kind of multinational corporations going ahead and partnering with kind of future-facing crypto projects, that leading to big spikes, obviously, in the underlying crypto price of those projects that are getting those big partnerships. More than likely, we will continue to see that trend into the future. Japanese automaker Nissan being one of the first to go ahead and get my attention, at least. I'm sure there's been many, many more. I think there was a designer not long ago that did something. But you see, it's not like every day, it's not every week that we're seeing one of these multinational corporations go ahead and kind of make their association with the crypto industry. Because when they do that, remember, those boards, those more risk-adverse boards of multinational corporations and the funds that manage their money are sitting there like, ooh, metaverse. That seems a little sketchy. What do we do with that? We're not sure the risk there. But right now, with the bull market on, right, in crypto, those risk-averse individuals in the boardrooms all across the world are becoming slightly more warm to the idea of crypto being a good investment rather than a high-risk, FTX associated, Duquan associated, Luna, Terra Luna, all these scary names, Three Arrows Capital, right? All of that is in the rearview mirror. They're looking forward to, Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, Larry Fink, BlackRock. Yeah, maybe this scary Gensler guy is going to finally play along and get the heck out of the way, right? They're looking to the future of crypto because all the optimism is coming back. And why is the optimism coming back? Because of the halving. As Robert Kiyosaki says, this is the reason why he's buying 10 more before April, before the halving. The halving is the really big thing here, guys. That is what a lot of analysts here in crypto believe creates the 4-year cycle after all. Thank you so much for tuning in here. Let's see, we got Kartik Philly agreeing that this is indeed bullish. We like that. We love to see it. We got Drew P said, that new Mazda SP, the RX-7 like concept, is hydrogen and gas compatible. Yes, a lot of hydrogen research has been going. I can't remember, was it Nissan? I guess it must have been Nissan. Or I guess Mazda here. You said Mazda. Shows how much sometimes I can get these car manufacturers confused. Is Mazda also Japanese car? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Sounds like it could be. Chainlink finally waking up, said Joseph Gunther. Let's take a look at Chainlink really quick. This is one that I am well allocated to. Looks like it's doing pretty well. I'm out here on the weekly chart. Maybe I shouldn't be. But ultimately, you've seen early breakout here in October. Remember that Chainlink often acts as the canary in the coal mine for crypto, and it definitely has this bull market so far, getting a nice move higher, a nice 150, call it, percent move higher from its initial launch off the midline of the Bollinger Bear, I like that, Bollinger Band in October 18th. And since then, consolidation, another kind of proximal check of the midline of the Bollinger Band. He must be a big fan of that Bollinger Band. Yeah, I am. And then a big breakout up to 60% before consolidating back down and kind of averaging around about 169, 67, 170% move from that initial breakout October 16th, mid-October. So Chainlink doing well, and I have no doubt. This was my last kind of crypto pickup, was back here. I actually rotated out of AVAX, not that I have any kind of doubt against AVAX, right? But I realized that I had been DCing into AVAX way more aggressively than I had realized, and I went ahead and reallocated back some to Chainlink while it was down fairly low. And, don't be yelling at me saying that we didn't tell you, because Tim and I absolutely have been singing the praises of Chainlink for quite a little while. Well, at 9:32, guys, make sure if you want to go deeper into the charts, maybe into Chainlink, maybe Matic, maybe other coins, go and shout them out in the live chat of Piper Academy. He's going live, already live. So go ahead and check him out over there with TradeFly and OC, kind of flying with him. It's going to be good. Thank you so much for tuning in. 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going live tomorrow and today. So make sure you join us. Tomorrow we'll have Caleb Franson. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be more than likely breaking down kind of how the market has digested the Fed rate change. And then also we got that hike from Switzerland, cut. We got that cut from Switzerland last week. We'll probably be breaking down that as well. Is that an early indicator of maybe when we might get the cuts? Could they be sooner, right, than the market was thinking? Now the market is the stock market, the bond market, kind of reacting to the rates and the hikes. Could the Swiss cut go ahead and be that initial canary in the coal mine, kind of like what Chainlink was to the crypto market? Be the canary in the coal mine to the rest of the central banks that actually we're going to get cuts before the second half of the year, because now the market is anyway. You see what I'm saying. 3 p.m. on Wednesday we'll be talking about that. 3 p.m. today we'll definitely be live, probably talking about Bitcoin's move. I would imagine maybe Robert Kiyosaki's utterances here, but probably there will be something that happens between now and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully one of those things is if it's you smashing the like button and considering subscribing if you've had fun with me here. I am T Shroom, in for the Investing Bros, and I want to remind you to stay hydrated, right? I've got my beverage right here, my trusty beverage. Don't go anywhere without it. Stay hydrated. And if you're trading, keep those stop losses tight. We'll see you at 3 p.m.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got your word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.